All right, what's happening, y'all? It's your boy Rico from RicoScores, and I felt like it was the perfect time to go ahead and knock out the first 2024 mock draft. You know we're gonna do a lot of them. I'm gonna do another one in probably like another 5-6 games. We're gonna do one at the end of our season, whether it's a regular season, postseason, whatever. Whenever we play our final game. Well, I mean, hey, if that's winning the Super Bowl, whatever it is, it's not looking likely at all right now. I wouldn't put any amount of money on it, but the final game that we play this season, I'll probably do a mock draft then as well. Then we'll do like some random mock drafts leading up to the draft, of course, because you know I try to do my different scenarios. I do my trade up scenario, I do my trade back scenario. I try to get a little interesting with trying to do like a loading up on offense mock draft where it's not all offensive picks, but we're like focusing on fixing the offense or loading up on defense, all kinds of stuff. So we're gonna definitely take a look at a lot of different mock draft situations, scenarios, and things like that leading up to the 2024 draft that's going to be in late April of 2024. But for now, this is the first of the series, and it's actually crazy too because days before that Giants game even went that way, and me assuming that we were going to win that Giants game a couple of days ago, I already planned on doing a mock draft. But then the way that Giants game went, it made it even more obvious, like you definitely got to do a mock draft this week, like why wouldn't you, type of thing. And it also made a few of my draft picks a little bit clear, because I was on the fence with a couple of positions. I was like, maybe we can figure it out, maybe, you know what I'm saying, maybe some of it's Sam Household. No, we gotta fix the O-line, we gotta fix linebacker, especially with Cody Barton hurt now, and we gotta fix tight end. Got to, man. I like Logan Thomas, but the dropping of the passes, we're not featuring Cole Turner as much as I feel like we should. So we're going 5-round mock draft, rounds 1 through 5. We have the 14th overall pick in the first round, then the 46th, then the 78th, then the 114th, then the 151st. I would not be surprised, especially if we blow up everything. If we're sellers at the trade deadline, that's another video I'm working on. I'll probably come out with that tomorrow. If we're sellers at the trade deadline and we acquire more draft picks by giving away some of our top veterans that don't want to be a part of a rebuild, if we just fully embrace a full rebuild, we fire everybody, or at the very least fire Ron Rivera, whatever may happen. I'm not saying do either one, but I'm just saying if that happens, if we embrace the rebuild, we'll have even more draft picks than this, and I wouldn't be surprised if we take some draft picks, package them together to move up in the draft. I feel like we're more likely to move up into the draft than to move back this upcoming draft, especially with some of the top tier talent, especially at offensive line. So again, I'm doing a 5-round mock draft, 5 picks. I'm gonna make my pick, I'm gonna explain why, and of course we're so early into the college football season, you know, it's not like any of these things are certified. I'm not expecting to hit 100% from the field on this mock draft, but I will do the best that I can, again, after only just a few weeks of football so far, explaining the player I picked, why I picked them, their weaknesses and strengths, things they can work on before the draft actually comes up, all that type of stuff. I'm also going to talk about players that I may have preferred over them at their respective positions if this was just a dream case scenario and for some reason we had 5 first-round picks and we had our pick of the best players at each position that I'm picking for. But of course, this is a mock draft. I'm not going to say we're going to get the best interior offensive lineman in the entire draft in the 5th round. That's not going to happen, but you'll see how when we get there. But of course, man, sorry for the long intro. Before we dive into all of that, make sure you stiff arm the like button, stiff arm the subscription button, and stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned for all of the content. Again, more mock drafts like I already told you throughout this regular season, off season, everything coming up. Y'all know I'm the draft guy. Matter of fact, the draft GOAT. Let me show it in the camera. You know what I'm saying? Also, make sure you stay tuned for all of the content coming up leading up before this Eagles game, because of course I'm gonna do a game preview on how we can beat the Eagles and what we need to do the same as the last time we played the Eagles and what we need to change to avoid overtime and actually win that game within the regular 4 quarters allotted to us. Also, be on the lookout, like I already said a little bit earlier, I'm working on a should we be buyers or sellers before the trade deadline, and I'm gonna explain the positives and negatives for both. And if we're sellers, which players we're probably going to end up trading away to get more draft picks to embrace the rebuild, or if we're buyers, what are some players that are out there either in free agency or on other teams that we could trade for if we're truly trying to dive head first into trying to make the playoffs and to keep Ron Rivera's job alive, Martin Mayhew and all of these guys. So it's either one. The plan in the middle is pointless. We need to either be sellers or buyers. I don't want to be just in the middle. I've been saying for years now, and a lot of people kept getting mad at me. I was like, you may want to embrace the tank and the rebuild instead of this consistent trying to be good, and you're always falling flat on your face because we just don't have enough talent. We're bargain bin shopping. We never have a high enough draft pick to get the elite game-changing players, the guys that can put teams on their backs and things like that. I love Jahan Dotson. I even still really like Emmanuel Forbes and his potential, but we never had the draft picks to get the true game changes. And so now after we're 3-4, which is actually one of our best starts under the Ron Rivera era, people suddenly now want to embrace the tank. I've been screaming to do that for years now, and again, I don't really see the point of being buyers or being neither buyers or sellers. We need to pick one: embrace the tank or go head on, do whatever you got to do to improve this roster so we can make the playoffs and save everybody's jobs. That middle that we've been doing, this perpetual average going 8-9, actually 8-1 last year somehow, it's just not it. I warned people several years ago, me having to watch the Falcons, growing up in Atlanta watching the Falcons and the Hawks all the times, that perpetual average, you're never going to be good enough to win anything. You're never going to be bad enough to get elite players that can take you to the top so that you can win anything meaningful. And we're just stuck in that middle. I tried to warn people, man. But again, sorry for the long intro. Let's go ahead and get to this mock draft. Without further ado, let's get it.
You tell your family you can be a commander.
Again, like the title says, no more Band-Aids. We're going after elite talent. We're fixing the O-line, the linebacker group, and the tight end group with just 5 picks. I'm not playing with y'all. I'm not. First round, 14th pick overall. I was taking Georgia tackle Amarius Mims. Now, let me go ahead and get this out the way. I feel like Amarius Mims has the highest ceiling of this class. You could argue Amarius Mims, if just from a pure athletic profile, just born with God-given talent-wise, he has the highest ceiling of any tackle in the past couple of drafts, even higher than like a Darnell Wright or even DeJuan Jones, in my opinion. I think that his ceiling is just that ridiculous. But at the same time, he's been hurt for the past few weeks. It seems like basically as soon as we get him back, Brock Bowers is gone. So that kind of sucks for, me being a Georgia Bulldogs fan. But either way, between him being hurt, also him starting at right tackle is why he can likely make it to our 14th overall pick. And also, if we're talking floor, Olu Fashanu over there at Penn State and Joe Alt over there at Notre Dame, those guys have the higher floors. They're the safer prospects. So I'm assuming that they're going to go before Amarius Mims. If you want to trade up and get a guaranteed Pro Bowler, because again, don't get me wrong, Amarius Mims' ceiling is sky high, one of the highest ceilings I've ever seen from a tackle that I've ever watched. Me, since I've been really diving deep into football since like about middle school, high schoolish. But Olu Fashanu and Joe Alt have ridiculous ceilings as well. I mean, if they were in other drafts, maybe we would talk about them having the highest ceiling. But it's just they just happen to be in the same draft as an alien from a different planet than Amarius Mims. But don't get me wrong, Olu Fashanu, Joe Alt have ridiculous floors. Again, you're getting a guaranteed Pro Bowler, but at the same time, they have ridiculous ceilings as well. So I would admit that Olu Fashanu and Joe Alt are arguably the better prospects, but they're not making it to the 14th overall pick. So I'm not trying to sit here with my first mock draft, just shoot for the stars and be extremely unrealistic. I'm not going to be extremely realistic. First of all, who even knows what extremely realistic is at this point? We don't even know how this big board and everything's gonna fall by the time we get to the draft. We still have to finish this season. We still have the playoffs. We still have the national championship, which I hope my Georgia Bulldogs play in and win. We still got the whole off season. We got the combine. We got senior bowls and things like that. Who knows how everything is gonna play out? And we just gotta hope that everybody that's playing football right now can stay healthy, which is impossible. So many things are going to change from today to when the draft actually happens late April. But from so far, from the snapshot that we have right now, Amarius Mims has the highest ceiling, but he's at the same time the guy I think could make it to the 14th overall pick, whereas Joe Alt and Olu Fashanu aren't making it to the 14th picks. I know this is an extremely deep quarterback class. I know my boy Brock Bowers and Marvin Harrison Jr. and even the wide receiver that transferred from Michigan State to Florida State, State that's been hooping. There's a lot of great players, but nobody. If you need offensive linemen, you're not passing on Olu Fashanu and Joe Alt. You're just not. So again, to be relatively realistic as I can possibly get, but I'm still gonna have some fun. This is not about to be a super strict mock draft. And at the end of the day, every player that I drafted in this mock draft, I used the Pro Football Focus mock draft, and I was able to get all 5 of these guys. So it's not like I'm just coming up with this out of nowhere, but I'm going to admit the guy I'm taking in the 3rd round is not making it to the 3rd round by the time we get to the draft. But hey, Pro Football Focus let me get away with it, so I'm going to have fun with it. But again, Marius Mims, I mean, what more can I say than other than just the highest ceiling you could arguably say that we've seen a tackle come out of the draft in years. It's a freak of nature. I can't wait for him to get to the combine. I'm hoping he's fully healthy there. And then also his another problem again is that he's been primarily playing right tackle this whole time. He started for us the playoffs last year against Ohio State and then the championship game against TCU. I believe those were his only starts last year. And then this year he's only started a few games and he came out looking a little bit more raw than I expected, and then he got hurt. So I would not be surprised if he makes it to the 14th overall pick. But you get your hands on Amarius Mims, do whatever you want to do with the offensive line at that point. I mean, you could put Amarius Mims at left tackle, even though he's played right tackle his whole career. And then if you want to, you can kick Samuel Cosmi back out at tackle because he's an athletic freak. Maybe you prefer to have him there. And then you would have arguably the most athletic tackle tandem in the NFL. Would it be the best? Would it be the most efficient? Would it be the best pass blocking or the best run blocking tackle duo in the NFL? Not necessarily, especially not immediately. But if you draft Amarius Mims and kick Samuel Cosmi back out the tackle, I'm not necessarily saying we should or shouldn't, but just as a scenario, those two would be the most athletic tackle duo in the NFL easily. It wouldn't even be up for debate. We're talking about just pure God-given talent, athletic ability. Somebody Amarius Mims' size shouldn't be able to move the way that he does. This guy is 6'7", 340 pounds. Last time people checked, ridiculous athlete. He moves so fluid. It's absolutely insane. I'm just so proud of Georgia for being able to recruit guys like this. It's just absolutely ridiculous, man. He almost transferred too. I believe he was trying to transfer to Florida State into the transfer portal, took a trip to Florida State, and then was like, nah. Georgia's better. I'm gonna come back to Georgia, man. And I'm so happy he did. Even though since he's been hurt, we've had a lot of other offensive linemen step up big time. I mean, our true freshman, Monroe Freeling, that's a guy to look for in the draft 4 years from now. He may be the best tackle in that draft. He already looks ridiculous as a true freshman. 5-star, of course. I'm not trying to make this the Georgia show. And a lot of y'all are gonna probably feel like it's that way when we get deeper into the draft. But I'm just trying to explain what's going on, the situation around Amarius Mims, and why he could make it to the 14th overall pick, because he hasn't played much. He's still fairly raw in various areas, but at the same time, he's a ridiculous freak. I know I keep saying it, but again, you get your hands on him. I don't care where you put Samuel Cosmi. You put Amarius Mims right tackle, left tackle. You put Samuel Cosmi guard tackle, whatever. Your offensive line is immediately more athletic, at the very least. Stronger, quicker, faster. The screen game should work better. Everything. You should be able to stonewall people. You're never going to get beat by pure strength or quickness. It's going to have to take ridiculous technique to beat an Amarius Mims. You're not going to be able to outmuscle him. You're not going to be able to run around him on the edge. He's just too much of an athletic freak. Now moving on to round 2, pick 46th overall. We have tight end Jatavion Sanders, and I've been hearing some people really, really like this guy. I've only gotten a chance to see a little bit of him. And I'm pretty high on him. You could argue he's the second best tight end in this entire draft class. So not very likely he makes it to the 46th overall pick, but you never know. Darnell Washington was looking like before the last year started that he was obviously going to go in the first round, at the very least in the top half of the first round. And we saw how far he fell just off of injuries. That he killed the combine. I mean, he looked like one of the most impressive players out of the combine, regardless of positions. But because of a random injury and him still looking relatively raw in people's eyes, he slid really far. So, hey, Jatavion Sanders, you never know, could end up making it to the 46th overall pick. This is a really good tight end. Now, of course, again, like I said, with Olu Fashanu and Joe Alt for round 1, Brock Bowers is obviously the best tight end in this draft class. I mean, that goes without saying. It's really no point of me even really diving into that. But Jatavion Sanders, to me, so far from what I've seen, the very little we've seen so far this college season, between him and that tight end from Florida State as well, he's pretty good. those are probably the top tight ends in this draft class right now. I take Ja'Tavion Sanders, though. He has some potential to him. I really like his talent. I like his potential. Shouts out to Texas for having a guy that good. It sucks that he's not. I feel like he should be featured a little bit more in their offense because, again, this guy is super talented, man. It really sucks that he's not being utilized a little bit better. Like how Brock Bowers is getting featured in the Georgia offense. I don't feel like they're featuring Ja'Tavion Sanders enough, but he's different, man. 243 pounds, 6'4", probably is going to run a sub 4.6. So, again, he's not the athlete of a Brock Bowers. He's not just an alien like a Brock Bowers, but bro, this boy can get open in the receiving game, and he has a little bit of work to do as far as blocking goes. But again, being 6'4", 240 pounds, we can work with that. We can, add some muscle to that, and I truly believe he can become a really good dual threat tight end. And I mean, this tight end room, I'm really excited about my boy that got hurt in the offseason, that's on IR right now. My boy Armani Rogers. I love his athleticism, but he's still a pretty raw talent. Scott Turner was starting to get him involved a little bit. I was really excited about what Eric Bieniemy could do with him, but we never got to see it. So that's a guy with a crazy high ceiling, loads of potential, but who knows what we're going to get from him. Cole Turner, I love his talent. He's starting to become a better blocker. He catches everything thrown towards him, but he's not featured in our offense right now. I don't know why he's underutilized. And then you have Logan Thomas that's going to get a bunch of targets every game. He's going to make some clutch catches. He's also going to have some random drops that just hurt you, like 3rd and 6, 8-9 yard pass, easy first down, just drop it, or allows the defender to somehow get his hand in there to get it out of his hand. It just, regardless, it's just too inconsistent for me. Even though he had a really good block on that Brian Robinson touchdown against the Giants, really good block. He blocked 2 people on that play. So I haven't given up on Logan Thomas, but it's time to bring in a certified tight end to take over as our tight end 1, like immediately. Plus, I wouldn't be surprised if Logan Thomas is one of those guys, if we end up being sellers, you trade him for a pretty decent draft pick. I would not be surprised. Of course, at that point, who's going to be left to play tight end for us to end the season? But again, that's if you're embracing the rebuild. You're basically embracing the tank at that point. But yeah, Ja'Tavion Sanders, again, a really exciting prospect. Jaheim Bell, again, over there at Florida State's a pretty good prospect as well. But I'm really excited. I mean, first of all, Ja'Tavion Sanders, his hands, especially catching in traffic, catches everything thrown towards him. He makes good plays after the catch. We'll see when he gets to the NFL level, when guys are faster and stronger, if he can still do those type of things. But this man is a dominant red zone threat. He's a chain mover. I love him, man. And again, his hands, you could argue, is probably the best part about him. I love his hands. Catches everything towards him. He's able to get open on his own. Most tight ends in the NFL level have to be schemed open. Even like George Kittle has to be schemed open by Kyle Shanahan. George Kittle isn't just out here juking linebackers, safeties, and cornerbacks out of their socks and getting open on his own like a Travis Kelce. I think Ja'Tavion Sanders has the ability to do that. So, hey, man, if he's there in the second round, you sprint to the podium to get him. You sprint. You yell no take backsies if Ja'Tavion Sanders is there in the second round. So shouts out to Texas for that prospect right there. Moving on to round 3, 78th overall, center Cedric Van Pran. And like I said earlier, man, he's not making it to the first round. I don't know why Pro Football Focus let me get him in the 3rd round. I was still trying to figure out, before I did the Pro Football Focus mock draft simulator, I was like, man, I gotta find a center that could start for us that's gonna somehow be available in the 3rd round. So I was worried about that. For some reason, I was like, you know what? Let me just go ahead and do this Pro Football Focus mock draft, see what happens. And he was there. I'm going to let you know that now. He's not going to be there. He's going in the 1st round. I think he's going to be the best center in this entire draft, in my personal opinion. I'm very high on Cedric Van Pran. I think he would have won the 3rd round last draft. I think this upcoming draft in 2024, he's going to be the best center in the draft. He already looks like the best center in the country to me. He's just a different type of guy. So he's not going to be there in the 3rd round. I'm going to go ahead and tell y'all that now. It will be lovely. I mean, somehow, something will have to go terribly wrong, though. And I don't wish that on my boy. If he's available in the 3rd round, something would terribly wrong. He got hurt or something, and that would, hurt my chances of my Georgia Bulldogs winning the championship by a long shot. We have a lot of talented tackles and guards that we can replace with another guy. Cedric Van Pran is harder to replace, man. So, hey, man, this guy's 6'4", 310 probably going to end up being like 320 pounds when it's all said and done. I'm super excited about him. Against the run, against the pass, he's the leader of the team. You could argue out of the top 3 biggest voices on the team that are just players, not coaches, of course not Kirby Smart and these other guys, player-wise, Cedric Van Pran is one of our biggest leaders. He stepped up big time. Since Stetson Bennett's gone, all these other guys, Cedric Van Pran has stepped up as our calm and collected, it's arguably our biggest leader on the out of the entire team. So not only you getting that, but you're also getting ridiculously consistent run blocking and pass blocking. He's a mauler in the run game. He doesn't give up anything in the pass game. And after what I saw from that boy Nick Gates against the Giants, I wouldn't be surprised if we just, even if there were a chance he would be available in the 3rd round, I wouldn't be surprised if we don't even chance it. We take him in the 1st or 2nd, just simply because of how bad Nick Gates was. I still don't understand at this point why we haven't thrown Ricky Strongberg out there, because how much worse can it get? But hey, man, it is what it is. I like Ricky Strongberg a lot, but clearly this organization doesn't value him. And again, if we embrace the tank, or not even embrace the tank, but if we embrace a full rebuild, we're sellers at the before the trade deadline, late in October. If we fire guys like Ron Rivera, Martin Mayhew, and things like that, the next coach and coaching staff, GM, the next group of guys that come in and lead this team, hopefully to some wins, some meaningful wins, would not be attached to any players on this team. They didn't draft Ricky Strongberg, so I wouldn't be surprised. Cedric Van Pran is available. We take him well before the 3rd round. Again, I think he's going in the 1st round because I think he's the best center in this draft. Ridiculous talent, man. I love me some Cedric Van Pran, man. You don't understand how elated I was when I heard that he was coming back for another season. I assumed he was going to the draft. When he said he was coming back for his senior season to run it back to try to get 3 championships, man, I'm forever grateful to this kid, man. I really hope he doesn't get hurt just because of that alone. Like, that's crazy. That's straight up just I mean, of course he can increase his draft stock. Maybe there's a little bit of selfishness there, but I truly believe he just wants to come back and give Georgia the best chance at winning 3 championships in a row, man. Shouts out to him. Again, he's better. I like Cedric Van Pran last draft more than I like Ricky Strongberg. That's another thing too. I like Ricky Strongberg, but even if Cedric Van Pran came out last draft, I would have taken him before Ricky Strongberg, in my opinion. So you just can't miss with that. If for some reason he's available in the 3rd round pick, again, you sprint to the podium and you say no take backsies and pick him immediately. Round 4, pick 114th overall. I have us taking linebacker Jamon Dumas-Johnson. I know this is a very Georgia biased mock draft. Now, it will be 3 picks out of 5. The round 5 pick will not be Georgia based, even though, hey, if I had my way, if Pro Football Focus let me do it, man. But yeah, the 2nd round pick and the 5th round pick are not Georgia. But I mean, when you're one of the most talented teams in college football, you see what the Eagles are doing and how it's helping them. I don't see why we shouldn't do it. I mean, we were picking Alabama players when they were winning. We loved Oklahoma players for a little bit. I don't know why we're ignoring Georgia. But either way, man, this linebacker here, 1st round talent, but just, coming off to a slow start to start this season. This guy is different. Now, I'm going to admit, them Clemson boys, I wasn't aware of them until like a week ago when people in my chat were telling me about them, because I haven't just been going around watching a lot of tape on other teams. I've just been a pure Georgia fan. I'm not going around watching a bunch of other games unless it's a great game, unless it's like Florida State versus Clemson, Duke versus Clemson, stuff like that. Louisville versus Notre Dame, USC versus Notre Dame. I pulled up to those type of games. Of course, Oregon and Washington was a great game to pull up to, but I haven't just had my analysis cap on yet. I'm purely enjoying college football for college football. How I watch Commanders games and I'm looking like an analyst, like a scout, trying to see every little detail. It's fun, but it's taxing. For my Georgia Bulldogs, I'm chilling. I'm college football, no matter what's on, I'm chilling. I'm eating. I'm not doing too much analysis. I'm not watching every player on the field with binoculars like I do with my Commanders and with NFL stuff. So again, I haven't been watching everybody, but from everything that I'm hearing, Barrett Carter and Jeremiah Trotter Jr. from Clemson are the linebackers in this class, both of them. That's crazy stuff there. Shouts out to Clemson for that. Give me back Sammy Brown though. Leave Sammy Brown alone. You don't need him. But if those guys are gone and for some reason Jamon Dumas-Johnson is available in the 4th round, you take him. But ideally, if for some reason we had 5 first-round picks, you would take those Clemson boys over a Jamon Dumas-Johnson. But again, if Jamon Dumas-Johnson is there in the 4th round, that's a steal. He has first round potential, first round stealing easily, and even just the size, because I like what I'm seeing from Jamin Davis. Khaleke Hudson had an off game yesterday, a couple of days ago against the Giants, but I still like him. But those guys are outside linebackers. They're a little undersized. We expect them to help more in coverage rather than against the run. Even though Jamin Davis is getting better against the run, and Khaleke Hudson has shown flashes against the run, especially against the Falcons. But we need a true dominant Mike linebacker that isn't getting pushed 8 yards down the field like Cody Barton. And then you have David Mayo, who stepped in against the Giants. He doesn't get pushed 8 yards down the field by an interior offensive lineman like Cody Barton, but then he can't cover anybody to save his life. So the Giants just decided, okay, Cody Barton's hurt. Let's throw the ball to whoever Cody Barton's covering. It doesn't matter. Darren Waller, Saquon Barkley, wide receiver, anybody, whoever Cody Barton is, whoever David Mayo is responsible for, we're attacking him. You no longer have to worry about that with Jamon Dumas-Johnson, because he easily is going to have better coverage than David Mayo, and he's going to be a better run stopper than Cody Barton. He solves all of our problems. Now, again, even as a Georgia Bulldog fan, am I going to sit here and tell you that he's going to be better than Jeremiah Trotter Jr., which is crazy. I can't believe Jeremiah Trotter already has a junior that's about to enter the draft. Wow, I feel old for that one. And Barrett Carter, I'm not saying he's better than those guys. I'm not saying he's better than Dallas Turner, even Chris Braswell from Alabama. You got Tommy Eichenberg from Ohio State, Danny Stutzman from Oklahoma. Maybe you even prefer Smile Munden from Georgia, but again, he doesn't fit what we need. Smile Munden is another like outside linebacker, can cover really well and stuff like that, can make plays against the run, but he's only 225 pounds. Jamon Dumas-Johnson is 250. And probably is going to run somewhere like sub 4.6 or something like that. That's the type of guy that we need. That's the type of guy I've been mocking to us for years now. The Lions got the one I wanted in the first round this past draft. I think it was I forgot his name, but the Cardinals took one of them that I wanted, one of those big 6'4", big run stopping guys that can also cover. I've been mocking that type of guy to us for a couple of years now, and I'm gonna keep doing it till we take him, because again, I love Jamin Davis, I love Khaleke Hudson, but they're outside linebackers. We need a true run stopper up the middle that also isn't a liability in coverage. Hey man, Jamon Dumas-Johnson will fix so many problems for us. Again, I'm not saying he's Barrett Carter or Jeremiah Trotter, but he's better again than David Mayo and Cody Barton will be. I truly believe that. Now, of course, when you draft him, he's going to be fairly raw. So Cody Barton is still you draft Jamon Dumas-Johnson, Cody Barton will still probably be our Mike linebacker week 1 of the 2024 season, until Jamon Dumas-Johnson gets a full grasp of the defense. But hey, man, I think he could eventually become our true starting Mike linebacker, Pro Bowl level type of guy. I'm not saying he's Bobby Wagner or Ray Lewis, any of those guys, or Fred Warner, but he has that type of potential. And I'm really excited about him. Can't wait to watch more of him for Georgia this year. Him and Smile Munden have had disappointing seasons for us so far this year, but they're both first-round talents, I believe. And then also, speaking of linebackers that are currently on roster, Jabril Cox, love him. Wanted him out of the draft a few years ago. Then he ended up on the Cowboys, kept getting hurt. Then he ended up on their practice squad, now our practice squad. At this point, it's like, what would it hurt to throw him out there? But at the same time, even Jabril Cox at his very best, I like him at Mike linebacker a little bit, but he's another guy. Khaleke Hudson, Jamin Davis, you prefer him running sideline to sideline, covering people, making plays on the outside, using their speed. Jamon Dumas-Johnson is a different type from all of those guys. He's in the middle, stuffing up run plays, plugging up holes, gap discipline, not getting blocked 8 yards down the field like Cody Barton. And then lastly, round 5, pick 151 overall, I have us taking interior offensive lineman Cooper BB, however you pronounce it. I really like that guy, man. I think he's a different type of guy. I think he's pretty underrated. I don't know why Pro Football Focus even let me get him this late in the draft. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know how he was there, but I'll take it, man. And we've already taken a tackle in Amarius Mims. We've already taken a center in Cedric Van Pran. Just in case, go ahead and get an interior offensive lineman. I like Chris Paul's potential. I like Ricky Strongberg. I even like Sadiq Charles when he's healthy. But two of those guys are still young and learning. We don't know what we have from them just yet. And Chris Paul and Ricky Strongberg, even though I liked a lot what I've seen from Chris Paul every time he's in the game, I don't know why he's not playing more. And then Sadiq Charles, you can argue, has been one of our more consistent offensive linemen, but again, you got to worry about that injury, and then he has those random plays where he just gets beat so bad. Sam Howell's getting blitzed on immediately by the interior offensive lineman, or the run game gets stopped. Again, you can argue Sadiq Charles had the best year out of all of our offensive linemen, but I'm not just going to completely depend on him. But still, at the end of the day, if you see Samuel Cosme as more of a tackle interior offensive lineman, either way, man, Amarius Mims in the first round, Cedric Van Pan in the third round, and Cooper B-Bay, however you pronounce it, in the fifth round, is arguably just going best player available at that point. And we should have no problems with the offensive line at that point. You have a true Pro Bowl caliber starting center in Cedric Van Pran. He may not be that immediately week one, but he has it in him. Amarius Mims, again, the freakiest tackle probably in the entire NFL the day he gets drafted. And then Cooper is a really good interior offensive lineman. I don't think he's making it to the fifth round at all. But again, Pro Football Focus let me get away with it. So why not go ahead and take it and get the chance to talk about him. Now, I may be biased, but I think another Georgia guy, Tate Ratledge, has a chance to be the best guard in the draft when it's all said and done by the time we get around to that part. But I also wouldn't be surprised if more people like Michigan's interior offensive lineman, Zach Zenner. I like him a lot as well. And you never know. Again, it's still October. So by the time we get around the draft, maybe it's not Cooper BB or Tate Ratledge or Zach Zenner. Maybe it's another guy that ends up being the best interior offensive lineman when it's all said and done. But as of right now, taking a snapshot from where we are right now, if I had to put my money on it, those will be some of the top guys there. I still don't know why they let me get Cooper BB this late, but I'll take him, man. He's a really good player, really slept on. Now, granted, I mean, we're talking about competition. He plays for Kansas State, so that may be why some people may be a little apprehensive, but his pass blocking is ridiculous, dog. One of our main problems is pass blocking. His pass blocking is crazy. He can mirror speed, strength, whatever you want. And then he's a mauler in the run game as well, man. So we're immediately a better offensive line with this draft class right here alone. We're immediately better. Interior offensive line, tackle, everything. Our offensive line. I wish we could draft this offensive line today and go out there with those guys. I'm not gonna lie. Marius Mims healthy, Cedric Van Pran, and Cooper Bibe. Honestly, they may be ready to start right now over some of the guys we have out there getting whooped on every day. I'm not gonna lie. That's how good these guys are. So I'm really excited. Cooper is 6'4". 235, 240. I mean 335, 340 pounds. I'm really excited about him. I can't wait to see him at the Senior Bowl because he's a senior. Him and Cedric Van Pran should be at the Senior Bowl, so I'm really excited about seeing those guys showcasing what they could do. I'm telling you, man, this guy is crazy. He's not making it to the fifth round. I'm going to let you know that now, to be completely realistic. But hey, Pro Football Focus let me get away with it. Let's get it. So yeah, man, that's the end of this video. I fixed the O-line. I got us a high potential dual threat tight end in case Logan Thomas is gone. Even if he's not gone, we need somebody that is going to demand the ball from Eric Bieniemy, because I love Cole Turner, but he's not getting targets. So I don't know what's wrong with that. I like John Bates, but he doesn't contribute much in the passing game. And at the same time, even I've seen some times where he's getting beat in run blocks. So Jatavion Sanders should put away a lot of the problems we're having with this tight end group. And then also linebacker Jamon Dumas-Johnson. Again, I'm not saying he's the best linebacker in this class, but he's exactly what the doctor ordered, dog. Again, Jamin Davis, even Jabril Cox, if we bring him up, and Khalid Hudson, they're more outside linebackers, running sideline to sideline, covering people, if anything, and then making the occasional run stop. But Jamon Dumas-Johnson will be our pure run stopper. Just imagine a David Mayo against the run, but can also cover like a Jamin Davis. That's fixing the line. So linebacker group, tight end group, offensive line fixed right there. After that, we'll have to figure it out. But right there, we're fixing that with that mock draft. Again, not entirely realistic, but Pro Football Focus let me get away with it. So why not go ahead and have some fun? Again, Jatavion Sanders may not even make it to the second round. Cedric Van Pran definitely is not making it to the third round. I doubt Jamon Dumas-Johnson makes it to the fourth round. We probably have to take him in the second. And then Cooper B-Bay, however you pronounce it, from Kansas State, more than likely isn't making it to the fifth round either. I think third round at the latest. But again, Pro Football Focus let me get away with it. Yeah, man, so let me know how y'all feel about this mock draft. Definitely let me know if you agree or disagree with any of my points. Do you feel like I'm too much of a Georgia homer? That's why I tried to provide alternatives. Even when I took Georgia players, I'm letting you know that there are these other guys that could be better, but in the third round, this is the best we could do. In the fourth round, this is the best we could do. Except for Cedric Van Pran. He's the best center in this class. I don't care what you say. Brock Powers is the best tackle in this tight end in this class, and I would argue Amarius Mims, even if he's not the best tackle in this class, he is the highest ceiling. Hey man, don't hate us, man, just because we fire, you know what I'm saying? But either way, let me know how you feel about everything. Let me know you agree or disagree with any of my picks. Of course, let me know your mock drafts. I only did a 5-round mock because that's all Pro Football Focus let me get to, and I'm not even going to sit here and lie and act like I know a bunch of 6th, 7th round sleepers yet. Again, I've been watching college football as a fan right now. I do not have my thinking cap on when I'm watching college football like I do when I'm watching NFL, especially my Commanders. It's more relaxing. I'm chilling. I'm just sitting back watching my team go undefeated on the way to another championship, hopefully. So I haven't just been looking around looking for sleepers in the back end of other teams' college rosters. I'm not in that mode yet. I'm gonna get there later, but I'm not there yet. So yeah, that's also another reason why it's going to be a little Georgia heavy, because I know what these guys could do. I don't exactly know what's going on elsewhere just yet. I'm not in draft analyst mode yet, but I still felt like it was the perfect time to do the mock draft. And after that Giants loss, it felt like I had to. So of course, stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, and stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button. I really appreciate that, man. If you want to support the channel, because again, YouTube is tripping, so I'm not able to make money in any other way other than y'all donating. If you want to help support the channel, the Cash App is $RicoScores, and the PayPal is WilliamHC94@gmail.com. All of that information is in the description of every video, every live stream, including this one. So make sure you go check that out if you want to support the channel. I really appreciate that. Speaking of supporting the channel, shouts out my boy Marcus. He said for the great analysis, donating $50 before I made this video. Literally just like a couple of hours ago out of nowhere. I wasn't live streaming or nothing. That is huge love, man. So shouts out my boy Marcus. Can't wait for YouTube to get me back right so we can get back to having sponsors and memberships and things like that. Can't wait to get the channel back to normal. But until then, if y'all want to support the channel, again, $RicoScores. And again, let me know in the comment section how you feel about everything, because I'm gonna do my best whenever I have free time to try to read and reply to as many comments as possible. I'm gonna try to do that for previous videos as well, live streams and all of that, because I've been lacking on that. But again, I've just been really busy. So I appreciate y'all, man. I'm gonna catch y'all later. Again, tomorrow / by the time you're watching this, probably later today, I am working on a should we be buyers or sellers, positives and negatives to both. If we're buyers, which players we should buy. If we're sellers, which players we should sell, all of that type of stuff. And of course, I'm working on a game preview on how we can beat the Eagles. That's probably gonna come out Thursday, so stay tuned for all of that, man. I'm gonna catch y'all later. I'm out.